Welcome to Tekedia Daily. I'm Ndubuisi Ekekwe. Today I will introduce the concept of the construct of diminishing freemium monetization. Essentially, we're going to look into how companies that basically offer services online free, how they can actually make money, and the challenges and the constructs, the elements that essentially drive everything that they do. You know, the freemium model is you have a blog, you have an app, you have a game, you have a web app, an app. You basically want so many people to use that solution. You make it available on the internet, and then people come, everyone is happy because what you are offering is free. You see users grow, but there is one thing that is very, very increasingly difficult to get, actually making money out of it. So we have seen Konok newspapers. They used to have very few members, subscribers, or paid users. But in the construct of the internet, where distribution has been unbounded. So instead of having 1,000 subscribers in your local village, then that newspaper now has practically unlimited number of subscribers around the world because people can access their content on the internet. Something happens there. They have to make that content mainly free on the internet so that more people can use it. So you might have had 1,000 paid subscribers before, but today you could have 100,000. But there is one problem. By the time you make it free, even the 1,000 that used to pay will not necessarily pay anymore. So everything is free, and then you have to depend on advertisement. You want people to come in, and then you sell them display advertisement, mainly from Google AdSense. It doesn't usually work. That is the biggest challenge in the advertising world. The correlation between having more users and actually making more money has been proven to be broken. Because they would have even been better when they had smaller number of users who were not coming from all over the world. So I'm trying to explain in these constructs that it is a kind of an illusion that you could build a business in this way. If you look at Netflix, Netflix has a subscriber base. It doesn't have a lot of traffic like YouTube or Vimeo. But YouTube, of course, has a subscriber section in the last few years, but we know it as a content portal where you can get all these things for free. Netflix has about 70 billion in capitalization. And if YouTube had remained as an independent company without Google, I don't think it will be up to 70 billion because its competitor Vimeo, the parent company of Vimeo is less than about $10 billion in capitalization. So that tells you that subscription actually elevates the value. It basically cushions the capacity of institutions to actually command more premium, especially in the markets. So I am looking at what is the break-even point? What is the break-even coefficient for companies that essentially want to make things free, and how much traffic do you need to get? So I started looking into a lot of diminishing returns. Basically, we know that you have this variable factor, you have this fixed factor, and after a time, even if you add more of the variable factor, like fertilizer on a piece of land that is a fixed factor, you may not necessarily have a very great significant improvement in the crop yield. That is one of the big examples they used to teach us in high school, second, third, fourth year in high school. Now, I'm using that to bring in the concept of diminishing freemium monetization. So in other words, you have this freemium internet business, and then everyone is coming to it. But it turns out that even as you are having more users, you are not necessarily improving your monetization. So you are diminishing your capacity to make money because you are actually increasing your ability to bring more people. It turns out that if you have 100 people that are paying, you may be better off than 10,000 people that are coming to read for free. It's a diminishing returns. But for you to actually get into that breakout point like Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and Google that are actually doing exactly the freemium model, you have to look into two coefficients. So over the years, working with clients, I'm not necessarily going to explain what this alpha beta mean, but these alpha and beta are coefficients. We call them freemium coefficients that they depend on other variables. This one depends on 5 other variables, this one depends on 7 other variables. That if you can capture the locality of that business, the auditory of that business, in other words, the type of people that are visiting that site, the IP address of location of those visitors, we can easily quantify the total traffic required in order to generate a specific profit needed in any specific business. So this is the question. So this is the traffic for a determined profit. This is the traffic you need in thousands or millions, and this is the equation. And when you put this thing and model it based on that specific business, you could say, okay, I need to have 70,000 visitors in a month in order for me to have a possible profit margin, profit for this specific company. It's a construct, and it tells you what you have to do. So, but this means that freemium works in so many ways. You need to increase the scale of your auditory, the scale of people coming into that business. And that basically means that you have to be looking at the alpha and beta. How do you improve them? Those are very, very critical. Companies like Google, Facebook, they have already increased it. And the alpha and beta are also related to the specific auditory, the kind of audience, whether it's a tech blog or whether it's an app, whether it's a game, whether it's a beauty blog that are actually coming into that business. The way they relate, the way they basically interact with you, all of these things are different. But remember one thing, that you are having more traffic does not necessarily translate that you will be making more money, because most times people use Opera, this Opera browser, which basically blocks every advertisement. So that means that a correlation of traffic direct to profitability is not a direct sequence. There are other things that you have to consider. Now, that's what the alpha beta are looking into this equation. Then the ICT utilities, which are basically the aggregators. How are they treating your content? How do they see the value that you are adding so that when people type that content, you can actually appear on the search engine? Now, there is the marginal cost construct where if in a perfect internet business, every cost is zero, the marginal cost is zero. So if the marginal cost is zero, it means that the marginal price has to be zero. And already you are offering that marginal price of zero because you are running a freemium model. In other words, technically, everything that comes as an advertisement should technically actually be your profit because your marginal cost is zero. But it turns out that most times we never get into that level of perfection. And that is the reason we do not just have that marginal cost zero. It tends to zero for very great firms, but it's never zero. And then if you can get that to work where the marginal cost practically becomes extremely zero, it means that you can make a lot of money. And that's what Nairaland does in Nigeria, where it ranks about 1,000 in our All-ISA, and it's a company of one person. Because every other person that works in that company largely works, what? Free. So the guy doesn't have anyone he has to pay, and they put a lot of time keeping that site up, maintaining or curating it, and basically doing everything that he has to pay people to do. That means his marginal cost drastically goes zero, and everything that comes to advertisement is money. And that's the reason why he never even bothered to use AdSense. He now created his own ecosystem. Of course, you can also create that, but most times it's very difficult to have the capacity to bring in advertisers without necessarily going through AdSense, which is the easiest way. You just go online, create an account, put in the code asset instead of going to banks, going to insurance company looking for them to advertise. So, but in everything, if you can get subscription and find a way to differentiate your products, that is the what you have to do. And I'll tell you this, that the reason why we do this freemium model, because we already know that our products are not optimally great, because it makes it easy for us to just look for clicks, because we know that no one is going to buy. So the freemium most times is because the product is not high quality for people to pay for it. So, but if you can deliver high quality like Netflix, for example, then you can now looking for that construct of differentiation. I do not necessarily believe that freemium model is a very great business model, unless you are contesting for celebrity, the best celebrity in your business. No, but that's not your business. Your business is How do I bring in the alpha? How do I bring in that capital? That's why from day one, think through it. Look into this equation and see how you can begin to structure that business in order to get something out of it. It's better to have 100 paying customers than to have 10 freemium customers where you are generating less than $200 in revenue from from Google, and then you don't practically get anything. This is Tekedia Daily. I'm Ndubuisi Ekekwe.